the order of the health officer of the County of Sonoma to shelter in place to minimize the spread of COVID-19. Housing Authority Commissioners will be conducting today's meeting in a virtual setting using Zoom webinar. Commissioners and staff are participating from remote locations and/or practicing appropriate social distancing. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting as noted on the city's website and as noted on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak during public comment will be able to do so by raising their hand and will be given the ability to address the commission. Just one minor item is that I request that all members stay on mute unless speaking. And I ask the clerk for a roll call.
Okay, the roll call for today, Stephen Burke.
Here.
Wayne Downey. Absent. Phil Olson. Phil Olson.
Here.
Diane Test.
Here.
And Jeffrey Owen.
Here.
Let the record reflect all members are present except for Commissioner Wayne Downey.
Thank you. Item 3 is statements of abstention. Are there any abstentions for any of the commissioners today on any of the items on the agenda?
Not here. I have none.
Not hearing any. Item number 4 is a study session, which is a standard item we have on our agendas, but there is not a study session today. So we'll move on to item number 5, which is public comments. I ask the clerk for any public comment emails to be read into the record.
We received no public comment emails. If there are any citizens that would like to make a public comment at this time, please use the raise your hand feature and we will call on you. If you are dialing in, please press *9 now. I see no hands raised, Commissioner Owen.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from our June 22nd meeting. I ask that the minutes are approved or if there needs any amending.
I read them and they look fine to me.
Any comments from the other commissioners? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to approve the minutes for June 22nd. Moving along to item 7, chairman or commissioner reports. I don't have any reports to provide. Do any of the commissioners have any reports?
Nothing here.
This is going rather fast. Thank you. And then we have item 8, committee reports. Are there any committee reports? No committee reports right now. We'll move on to item 9, which is the executive director reports and communication items. I understand, Megan, you'll be doing this today?
No, Commissioner Owen, hi, this is Dave. Yeah, I was able to join the call. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You'll see a memo prepared by Nicole Rathburn under communication items informing you that the City of Santa Rosa has been allocated $694,000 starting annually beginning in this year, 2020. This is funding through the SB2, which passed 2 years ago, which assessed property transfer tax to allow us money per jurisdiction. So this is good news. So that you'll see this in your budget once we get our agreement from the state of California executed. Speaking of agreements, I would add that the Community Development Block Grant DR funding, we are still awaiting our contract with HCD, but I want the body to know that we've completed all of our due diligence and preliminary work in order to do so. I think there was a request by a couple of commissioners to be able to see the presenters when we are on these calls. That has not been able to occur yet. I think there's still some Zoom technical matters to work our way through. So ideally, soon, we'll either be meeting in person again, or you'll be able to see presenters. Want to share that we had 2 retirements last month, Frank and Nancy, as you know. And so we have the green light to begin a recruitment to fill those vacancies. However, that's not going to happen fast. We have a very log-jam situation at our human resource department. So ideally, if we can get those recruitments going, interviews, and have those filled, it would be ideally an October event. And that's what I would share for a director's report today.
Thank you, David. For the DR money for CDBG, when do you think that's going to be able to be available for ANOVA?
That's probably going to be right now the way it looks as a fall event. We have 5 years to commit the funding, but even if we got the agreement tomorrow, we have to review it, bring it forward to the city council, get their feedback on the notice of funding availability process. That takes us into late August. So yeah, I'm looking at the fall if we can get the agreement.
Okay, thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions?
I do, Chairman Owen. Go ahead, Commissioner Tess.
Okay, thank you. Just a very brief question. On the 9.1 staff report, it references unmet share of RHNA at the AMI level. RHNA, I assume part of that lettering means regional housing?
Correct.
Okay. And the numbers next to that, are those numbers of units?
Can you reference where
Sure.
you're at, Commissioner Test?
Yes. Under proposed housing activity on your report,
Yes. Okay.
there's a chart, and next to the RHNA at the AMI level is a descending numbers. Are those unit numbers?
What I'm seeing is I see unmet share of the RENA and the area median income level. Yes,
Right.
Those would be housing units.
And so the reason those numbers are declining is because of hopefully the use of this money to bring those unmet shares down. Is that correct?
I believe so, and I'm going to ask and see if Megan could raise her hand and add a little definition to this.
Good afternoon. This is Megan Bassinger, Housing and Community Services Manager. And yes, if you are looking at I believe it is page 2 of 3 of the plan that was attached to the communication item, the 4th set of cells, which start with section 302, C4E2, descends by 25 units a year, which is what we are projecting as the number of units we will be able to assist with this funding. And 25 units was arrived at based on our current level of assistance per affordable housing unit. So we may see more units assisted, we may see less. It depends on the types of projects we support in upcoming NOVAs.
Thank you.
Commissioner Berg?
Unmute here. Now that I'm unmuted again, yes, Dave, you mentioned, you brought us up to date on a number of things. I didn't hear you talk about the status of the commissioner positions being filled? Is that getting any closer?
Good question, Commissioner Burke. The answer is no. With the pandemic, there hasn't been anybody in the office. We've done a solicitation for tenant commissioners, but they have not been able to be processed or interviewed by the city council as yet.
Okay, thank you for that. Obviously, it can be a problem for us. I mean, we're just made the quorum today, but you know that as well as I do. Turning to the report, information that was submitted about the state program. So just to understand that, so this is money that will probably be folded into our NOFA?
Well, right. When this money is received, once we execute the contract, it will be then in your budget, and then it'll be up to your discretion to include in your annual notice of funding availabilities. Yes.
Okay. And then the city council basically took the lead role. I mean, it didn't come to the housing authority. So these are funds that come from the state to the city council, and then they have determined that it should be folded into our program that we administer via the NOFA and the other funds that are available. So just want to make sure I understood that.
This is Megan Bassinger again. If I can interject, once we receive the standard agreement from HCD, we will need to return to council in order to accept and appropriate it. And at that point in time, we will ask the city council to appropriate it into the housing authority's budget. So that's what will come into your budget.
Okay, it's anticipated, but it's not a done deal quite yet, but okay. Yeah. So I saw, and I think the first memo had a different amount, had a little over 4.1 million. The resolution, or not the resolution, but the second memo where it had the funds distributed was around 3.47. So I'm assuming that somewhere along the way, the information from the state has changed and the total amount for the 5 years has diminished a bit. Is that correct?
The state, and we actually are taking a revised resolution to council. The state has identified, I believe it's $694,000 in year one, and it's a 5-year grant that can go up to $4 million, and the floor is around the 3.4. So it's a range based on resources received by the state.
Okay. And I think you answered this question. Just want to make sure. So of all of our programs through the NOFA, the amount per unit is closer to the $28,000 that we're assisting to make affordable rental housing available. Is that correct, Megan?
In our recent NOFAs, we have been assisting at that level for projects, but we have seen ranges go up to 125. So we're just trying to provide a ballpark to the state on what we would be able to assist. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that. One project we approved last month was lower, on the lower end, but that was kind of an anomaly. But so that's the range from 125 to maybe a little less than 30,000. Okay, those were items that I just was interested in having clarified, and thanks for doing that.
Commissioner Olson, you're on mute. Commissioner Olson, you're on mute. Can you unmute?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Dave, I was just wondering, because we don't have those Section 8 members on the board, is there any chance that we're going to run into a problem, something that we're doing now is not going to be approved?
I'll maybe defer to Jeff Burke, but I think as long as we have a quorum of the legislative body called the Housing Authority, we are in good shape. I don't know, Jeff, if you have any other opinion on that from the legal side.
So that's true. We do need to have 4, and you do count the vacancies. So we still need to have 4, which we do have today. I wasn't sure if Commissioner Olson's question was, and I don't know the answer to this, if to approve certain specific kind of things which perhaps aren't on the agenda today, do you have to have a tenant commissioner approve that? I'm not sure if that's the question. But as far as conducting this meeting today, all you need are the 4.
Yeah, I was just thinking long term when I know we have to have those those Section 8 board members.
So I can look at that and get back to the commissioners on that question. If there are any specific items that could come before you that actually require a tenant commissioner to vote on it, I'm not aware of that. I don't know if Megan or David may know the answer to that, but I'm happy to look into it. I don't believe for anything that's on your agenda today, there's only one consent item, and I think you're fine for.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
If I may, just my experience is that I was around when there was a change, and in the contract that we have with HUD, there's a requirement that 2 members of the Housing Authority be tenant commissioners. So I don't know what it says about a temporary absence, but it's a kind of a point well taken. So I think that's where the requirement is, Jeff, that we need to look at.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the executive director under item 9? Okay, we'll go ahead and move it on to item 9.1, the permanent local housing allocation program plan.
Oh, Chairman Owen, that's for your information, and we already discussed that as part of my overall report.
All right. Okay, thank you. Any consent items on 10?
$10.1, I believe.
10.1. Okay, here we go. So 10.1, we have the resolution for the approval to submit a grant application, State of California Housing and Community Development. And staff's going to do a presentation.
Well, Chairman Owen, to clarify, this is a consent item, so unless a commissioner or two wanted us to pull it from consent and do a report and presentation, we're happy to do so, but it's placed on your consent calendar, thinking you were able to act with a motion in a second.
Were there any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I don't know if there's an option, but I don't feel a need. There needs to be pulled. I mean, there is a presentation shown, but so there is $1 million in matching funds. Because I see in one place it talks about $100,000, another place $1 million. So I just wanted to clarify that we do have that $1 million in matching funds.
Good afternoon. This is Nicole Rathbun, program specialist. And yes, we do have $1 million in fund balance available for the match on this program to apply for the grant funds.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? And I don't believe we have any public comments or any members of the public. Is that correct?
If there's any of the members of the public that would like to make a comment now, please use the raise your hand feature, or if you're dialing in, press *9. I'm not seeing any public comment, Chair Owen.
Thank you. I don't believe there's any report items.
So I think we need a motion to approve the recommendation and the resolution.
Thank you.
Vote by roll call.
Do we have a motion on the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
We have a
To
second.
approve.
Go ahead, Diane.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Santa Rosa approving submittal of a grant application to the State of California Housing and Community Development Department for $1 million of local Housing Trust Fund Program funds and waive the reading of the text.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Commissioner Olson, can you unmute, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Stephen Burke,
Aye.
Phil Olson,
Aye.
Diane Test,
Aye.
and Jeffrey Owen.
Aye.
Let the record show that the item was approved by all four members, with Wayne Downey being absent.
Thank you. And I think we are adjourning one of the fastest meetings I've ever been on with the Housing Authority. So thank you, everybody. I know this is not the easiest thing to try and do. It's nice to see everybody even virtually and hear your voices. We can't see you. And we appreciate everybody and all their hard work that they're doing. So thank you very much. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.